Hello, hello. Welcome to the Clarity Hotline, where you can ask your burning life questions, and we're going to just dive deep because this isn't just, uh, surface level conversation. I'm going to bring Instagram on and we're going to get into it, get into our questions here. Might hide the chat for now. All right, we're live on Instagram. Hey, Instagram, come join me for a Clarity Hotline. I'm here on Instagram and YouTube, so I'll be darting to and fro here. And we're answering your life burning questions or burning life questions. And I've got a couple pre-submitted, but as always, I prioritize the ones that come in live. So feel free to ask me any questions. And it took me a little bit to get settled in to my spirit in order to run this live. So I apologize for the delay. And it actually ties into one of the questions that I had a chance to look at and think about. And I get to tie it into actually what happened today and give you some real life scenarios. But welcome to the Clarity Hotline. I'm going to let you in on actually the questions before we get started. So the questions we're answering today are: how can I stop caring what people think? What are your rituals as a mom working from home? How do I find my niche for my business? So, and then there's some other ones. I think we might only have time for those. I don't know. There are a few other ones like I want to write a book. What's my path to get there? If I have time for those, we will get into them. Otherwise, I definitely want to prioritize the questions that come in pre-submitted. Hey, Danielle. Hi, Sunshine. Answering your burning life questions. And we're also on YouTube too. So wherever you're joining in, welcome. So those are the questions for today. But again, as always, prioritizing questions that come in live. But let's shake out our tension. Let's woosah for a second, because I know a lot of us are coming from like whatever hectic schedule has been going on, and maybe we're sitting down and tuning in with our tea and able to just connect and chat and decompress. But maybe not. Maybe you're on the road, maybe you're driving, maybe you like are in the middle of lunch and you're trying to fit in a snack while you go back to the chaos that is life. Whatever it is, welcome. And you can always watch the replay. But let's take a breath. Let's shake that out. And I like to inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Nola's saying hi as well, my beloved dog. So, know that she's sitting you love. Anywho, so we're taking an inhale through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And that's because it helps center the mind with the body, realign the mind with the body. Because if we're just kind of all tense in our bodies, breathing through the nose isn't really riding and aligning quick enough sometimes. And so sometimes we just have to like help the breath calm, and then we can move to a closed exhale. Right? Something with a little bit more intention. And then we can like reset and recenter. And Danielle's tuning in while she's running at work. Okay, good. So everybody, we're making it work, right? If we haven't met, I'm Declutterist Yvette, your less is more coach, and I really just want to help you get 360-degree life clarity, because without that, there is just kind of the muddled, the confused, the cloudy, the unsure, the insecure way of going through life, versus kind of one that's a little bit more introspective, reflective, concerned with what's happening in your inner state, and you're not neglecting yourself as you move forward in life. That's how I think. That's how I think we get to self-actualization, if you will, in a much more pleasant way. Because when we start to neglect who we are and what we want and why we do what we do, if we're not really connected to that, life just feels kind of disconnected and we're not really moving from a place of authenticity. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for coming in. Hi, I see some lovely, lovely faces in my life come through. All right. So, again, ask any question that you have. I'm taking questions from both Instagram and YouTube. And I'm going to start with some pre-submitted questions. The first one is from T. How can I stop caring what people think? Anybody else have this question? How can I stop caring what people think? I know I just kind of went in hard on the internal deep questions. How can I stop caring what people think? Well, I think the question really is, why do you care what people think? And I don't know that we can, in this lifetime, in this body, in this flesh and bones, stop caring what people think because we're such relational beings. Like we ebb and flow with one another. So how do we separate that desire to perform in partnership with somebody, live in partnership, right? Live in communion with other people if we don't care what they think. Now, I think that is this non-attachment to what people think. I think this self-assuredness is next to enlightenment, right? All that is in aspiration of enlightenment. How can I stop caring what people think? Because I think it holds us back, right? And it is a form of clutter, caring what people think. But I know that I care what my kids think of me. I care what my husband thinks of me. I care what my mom thinks of me. I care what my dad thinks of me, rest his soul. And, want to make them proud. So I don't know that we can disconnect from that without giving that up. And so if we're willing to go that path of giving up of acting in a way that doesn't concern itself with what somebody thinks, then you can absolutely, disconnect from caring what they think. And I think a lot of people really don't care what people think as they mature. Because obviously, as you're younger, you care so much what your peers think of you. You care what your classmates, right? High school, your crush thinks of you. And all, right, your boss as you get into the working world, but your colleagues, we care what people think of us because it's a form of validation. It's a form of us knowing that we're making an impact, we're touching lives, we're here for something. There is a meaning for our lives, right? That's all calculated and factored into that question, or into that concern, caring what people think. But if T wants to not love you, if T wants to not care what people think, then I think it could require just kind of like a life of solitude, because there's this collective energy, this kind of group think that tends toward relationship. So we are relational beings, like I said. So to live off the grid or to live a nomadic life, a solo life, right, on your own and choosing to live on your own, that helps you not care what people think. But the minute you feel lonely, then the feelings of wanting to care what people think start to factor in to, well, then I have to, if I'm lonely and I want somebody with me to partner in this life with, then I know I've got to become somebody wants to hang out with. And then if they want to hang out with me, then that tells me that I'm doing something right. And that means you care what they think. So I don't know that our level of devotion to relationship will allow us to stop caring what people think. But so here's something interesting when it comes to that. Is it necessary to stop caring what people think? Do we have to stop caring what people think in order to live a fulfilled life? Well, I think it helps to detach from what it means about you. I think it helps to not be concerned so much with what they think than how it impacts how you feel about yourself. If you can experience what people think about you and you're okay with it, and you're able to still live your life as authentically as you possibly can, then I'd say that you hit it on the head. Why you're here and what experience you intended to have when you came to this life. When we stop hinging our happiness on, pleasing others, then it's less likely that we will have it be a roadblock. But I believe we learned to please others the minute we did something to make our parents smile, our mother giggle because we cooed and cawed as babies. And the minute we started to feel what that meant to us, like, whoa, she smiled, and the warmth that exuded from her every pore toward us, is when we started being like, oh man, this is my person. This is my person, and this is who I want to make happy. And if I can make her smile the rest of my days, I will. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to all us moms. Happy Mother's Day. Definitely wanted to say that and meant to say that at the top of this hour. But it's like, this is the feeling that we first got pleasing somebody. And it felt good. It felt like, oh man, okay, so I connected. I've now woven my life with somebody else, and it feels all right. It feels all right to be loved like this. And I think that's why religion is so important. It's like, to a lot of people, religion, spirituality, whatever connects you back with your divine power, is why it's so important. It's like, well, we need that. We need to know how to be confident in ourselves without the adornment, without the clothes, without the house, without the car, without the trophy partner, because girls can have trophy husbands too. With all without the perfect kids, without the dog and the cat, all the things that make you, the Joneses. When I don't, what was I trying to say? It's like when we started going after that without recognizing our purpose in it, like our need for what's behind it, then it started to be like this chase to success. When we don't have to chase success, we just align with it. We align mind, body, and soul with it, with success, this idea of success. And I think when you feel successful, you care less about what people think because you went through the trenches, went through the mud, the muck, the mire. What other thing? Climbed the mountain to get on the other side of the thoughts that held you back before from climbing that mountain, from getting to the other side, right? So you've challenged and faced and met and conquered the feelings to get to this other side of this particular mountain that you were climbing. And I do talk about this in this week's YouTube video. I talk about Cringe Mountain. And I heard another YouTuber say Cringe Mountain, and I forget her name, and I'm sorry. But I heard her say Cringe Mountain, but everyone's saying cringe right now. So it's just the thing to get over, right? Because so many creators want to just show up online, and what's in front of you is cringe. Cringing at yourself, your own voice, your own look on camera, cringing at your work being exposed, you being vulnerable to criticism and haters and trolls. Like all of that is on the line. And then what does that do to you? Your psyche, your morale, your sense of inner peace, your sense of inner confidence. Like, what does that do? How is that compromised? Is all coming into thought, right? When you think about like, oh, putting myself out there. So that we're just going to call it Cringe Mountain. How do you get over it? I talked about how to, actually, I think it's next week's upload. Sorry. I think it's next week's upload where we're getting over Cringe Mountain fast. And it's so deep. There's such a deep side of business, deeper side of business. I hope that answered your question, T. There's so much we could keep going. Hello, welcome. We're answering life's burning questions, whatever you can throw at me, we're going to try to answer, especially if you're on live. Otherwise, I've got some pre-submitted questions. I'm on YouTube and Instagram. I'm saying this again for the people who just joined us. So you see my face going back and forth. But okay, let's move to another question. I kind of want to jump ahead instead of the order they were submitted. I always do that. I just keep them in order. This feels like, let's just jump to this because we were talking about the deeper side of business. Another question that came in is, how do I find my niche for my business? Is that not the buzzword of the ages right now? How do I find my niche? Because I don't know, being a content creator, you really have to be, well, to have a business, you really just need to be speaking to somebody. Like you don't have Coca-Cola dollars, Coca-Cola budget, Coca-Cola access. You are a solopreneur or an entrepreneur with a small team, small business owner, brick and mortar, whatever. And your job is to find the people that connect and resonate with what you're doing, your vision, your mission, and then carrying it forward with you, following behind you, and giving you more fuel to continue to pursue it. That's what we want. We want a community of fellow believers. We want a community of people who believe as we do, because then we've got kind of this sounding board of like-minded individuals who we can bounce ideas off of and say, well, I think this. Oh, I do too. And here's what I'm going through. It's a sense of belonging. So that's why we go after a niche, is we need to know our who, be crystal clear on who initially we're talking to. Do we want to talk to the world? Sure, absolutely. I do. But do we want to focus in on somebody first? Absolutely. When we're pivoting, absolutely. I'm pivoting from talking to kind of entrepreneurs at large to mom entrepreneurs, entrepreneur moms, because I am one, especially having been one and then became a mom, and how that just like wrecked everything I thought was business as usual, like totally changed the game. And I want other moms to kind of avoid the identity crisis that comes when you don't take the time to have your fourth trimester in your business. Business is like a baby. Business is like a baby. Anyway, so let's get back to this niche question. I'm always going to go to the deeper side of business, y'all. Okay, disclaimer, full transparency. I can't not get into the deeper side of business when answering any business related question, because you cannot separate mindset from behavior. You cannot separate what you believe about yourself and your work from productivity, from your action items, your schedule, your calendar. Everything boils down to what you believe about who you are to be doing this and why. Okay, so that's very much mindset driven. Otherwise, we'd be robots, and people would be tuning into AI channels on YouTube all the time, but nobody wants to tune into AI channels. I want a human behind the voice that I'm listening to. So yes, ChatGPT has its place. AI, absolutely. We use tech wisely, absolutely, to lighten our load. But like, it's just our partner. It's like, we're not Amazon. We're not just filling boxes with section C183 SKU 56, putting it in a box and shipping it out to whatever address was put on the order form. We are talking to humans with real feelings and energies and, whatever. So it's like, before we get into tactics and tech, we've got to work on thought, your thoughts. Hey guys. Hi, everyone who's coming on. I'm going in on all this. How do I find my niche for my business? And by the way, if you have a question, please ask it. But if you have a question and I'm not saying your name, it's because I don't know how to pronounce it in my rapid fire brain right now. And rather than focus on, if you want me to say your name, please write your name in there with the question. But I just don't want to mispronounce it. So that's why. Same for on YouTube, because I see some fun. I mean, even this one is from Envy. It's not Envy, it's NV, like initials, which is cool, cute, right? Envy. Okay, so So here's how I kind of initially thought to answer this question. How do I find my niche for my business? Answer questions like this. What are the problems I love helping with? Uh, if I talked about only this to these people for the next year, would it be satisfying? Could I come up with idea after idea after idea? Am I in for waking up thinking about this topic and getting excited and energized and motivated to talk about it? Those are the kinds of questions. And, does it resonate with how I live? Does it represent who I am, and where I'm going as an entrepreneur, as a business owner? What do people always come to me for? What do people ask me for advice about? I think, as I've gotten, I always knew that question, the answer to that question. What do people come to invite you for advice for? And for a long time, it was always like fashion questions. And so I thought, I do love fashion. I do. I want it in my life all the time. But I'm also not like the runway girl, and I'm not really into that kind of hotness right now, like trending in anymore, as a mom. I used to be, but now I'm not. It never was like, even working in the fashion industry briefly, I never really like my spirit just never came alive in it. I just knew that's not exactly the route I want to go. I want to find out fit in fashion some other way. All that to say is like I would get those kinds of questions. But what I find the most impactful for people is when we get deeper into questions they didn't even know they were going to ask me about, or our conversation goes so deep that they're not asking me for advice, but it comes out. It comes out in the way that we're talking, and what hits them the most. They're like, oh man, okay, I didn't think about that way. Okay, great. So that's how, you're not always going to get the questions asked to you, and that's going to determine what you should be niching down. It doesn't always work like that. That's why really understand yourself and what lights you up, because that's more a telltale sign than people asking you for advice. But it does lend itself into what people think about you. to go back to our first question. So let's see. So another couple questions you can ask to find your niche. If I could only talk, okay, I already said that. If success were guaranteed, what pain point would I go all in on today? What pain point would I go about solving today? If success were guaranteed, what pain point would I go about solving today? And then what intersection of my skills, lived experience, and passions keep showing up again and again, no matter what season of life I'm in? So I guess for me, that'd be entrepreneurship. But even there's always a deeper side of that too. Mindset, I'd say, is probably the through line. Mindset, belief in self, decluttering mental trash, limiting beliefs, the fear of rejection, scarcity mindset. All those kind of are the through line in my work. So I like you guys to be on live, because if there are some follow-up questions that you have, then we can get into it. But I think this might solve it for Envy's question for now. So try answering those questions and see where you land with what energizes you, what keeps you like going, right? What charges your battery when you think about, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm ready. Okay, let's go back up to the next one. And a couple came in that I can't really make sense of on YouTube. So I'm going to try to actually do that. Hold on. If you're still on YouTube and you ask this question, please chime in. So it has to do with, it's okay. What if, see, I'm not sure if this is, because I know some people need moderators with their lives on YouTube, because people just throw out stuff that's not really doesn't really make sense. And I think this is one of those. So let's skip that. Sorry if you want to rewrite that question, please do. All right. So the next question that was pre-submitted, what are your rituals as a mom working from home? Thanks for this, Carrie. So, my rituals change a lot. And working from home, it's definitely a requirement that I have some sort of ritual to kind of tap in and do the deep work that I am set out to do every day, that I want to do when I can give my business my time. And so I've created it so that I have a family calendar. We share a calendar, and my family knows, and really is mostly my husband, because my kids are too little to really even know what it means. But they know when mommy's working, and there's always somebody else here, another adult, to help with that. If otherwise we're doing a quiet activity together. And so they know, okay, mommy's working, but we have like a time frame that we're all working on something. And mommy's not as available, but she is going to be when the timer's goes off, that kind of thing. But this question is timely because, when you work in a house where maybe you don't have an office, or it's a small space, or your toddlers are home, they're not in school, you both work from home. I know plenty of couples who both work from home, and having kind of the space and the quiet to do like the more thought-provoking work, you need to set some boundaries. And I mean, even to this day, I have arguments with my husband about what I need my boundaries to be. Like, basically, if I've got a do not disturb time frame on the calendar, like, I need us to be like really deliberate on honoring the do not disturb time frame. Otherwise, it just throws me off my game. And so that is kind of that trust in your partnership, the trust at home between your support network, people who are behind you and doing this. So therefore, not only hold you accountable, but in holding you accountable, support your time to work. That's very important. And so I would say, have open communication. Hey, this is why it's important for me. And you may have to say it a couple times before it's like understood across the board, with everybody in the house. This is time. This is why I need this time. This is why it's important. This is what I'm going to be doing at this time. This is why I can't take other thoughts in this time frame. I need to work. So this really does go out to all my content creators, my bloggers, my vloggers, my YouTubers, my podcasters, my authors, like all the people creating something from nothing. It takes my artists. It takes thought. You need creative space, and you need people to respect that space. And you can't be taking these like negligible conversations that take you off of your path. Otherwise, the time that you set do not disturb is inefficient. And when I start my do not disturb, I really do need to kind of settle in and drop into my spirit, my soul, and my reason for doing this, because that means my work is authentic and it's inspired, and it's easier. It's easier to do because I don't have all the distractions blocking the wavelength of thought that brings me to the answer I most want to give to these questions, for instance. And so I start with deep breath work, and that's why we started with breath, because I don't always have the time to fit that in before I press live, because I want to be on time, for instance. And so I might do it with you, like we did today. We did it together because one, I know you can benefit from it. I know I can benefit from it. So let's do that. That's definitely part of my ritual. And if it's admin, then it doesn't have to go do not disturb on the calendar, because I can kind of multi-think in a way but still it ultimately becomes an efficient time. You're not able to just really focus in. I teach something called PFPF. It's priority, focus, POMI, flow, and those are just it's my nickname for Pomodoros. So if I've got a Pomodoro going, I've got a priority focus for that time, which means I don't want any other thought, any other task to interrupt that flow of thought. So if I'm doing a PFPF, on writing the next YouTube script for next week. I like silence. I don't even like music on. I've got a way that I work. I like to be able to bounce from, thought to research when it's a research day, a research and admin kind of day. I like to be able to bounce from thought to thought and put together an outline and really think through some of the thoughts and make sure that, okay, this I could see coming up with this. I can see coming up with content for this video script. So that's kind of why it's so important to have a ritual that sets you into your workflow so that it does flow. Otherwise, it's just kind of this rocky mess. It feels really cumbersome to me. It's not clear. And then I end up doing double work because I've got to go back to working on a script that's just really choppy versus if I honored my time, if it starts with me, if I honored my time and my family honors my time working from home, then, all the better for me. All the more efficient my time will be spent. So it does start with me, I need to honor and respect that time. And if I am done with the do not disturb time, then I need to honor the fact that it ended, right? And so I can go back to talking to my family again because I'm not in such a deep train of thought. So that's an important part too, is like honoring those boundaries. So if you set the start and the end time for your do not disturb, then become ritualistic about starting and ending on time and being true to that time frame that you set, because you're going to creep into the time blocks for other things. So if you've got a calendar and you live and die by your calendar like me, I need to know that if it doesn't exist if it's not on my calendar. So I need to know that if it's happening, it's on the calendar. Now, if I start to go past that priority focus PAMI flow and the timer hits and I have not set up more time for that PAMI flow, and I actually am supposed to switch gears and do something else in the next 25 minutes or whatever, or take a break, I need to honor that hard stop. And honestly, that's the best advice I could say for distraction-free work. My best tip is being true to your start and your ends. Otherwise, you'll start so many things and you won't finish because you let it linger to the point of burnout and exhaustion, and you're trying to do things past the mental capacity that you've set for the task at hand, and then you're just kind of like you're burnt out. You don't go back to it the next day because it's like, oh, that took everything I had from me. And it doesn't have to be that way. So you want to honor the time that you have. Thanks for coming on, guys. Okay, so I have some questions from YouTube. Hopefully that answered your question. Let's see, anything else as far as my rituals go that I haven't said? I think that's good. Yeah. Okay. And then, so let's see. Okay, so this question on I think I did read it right on YouTube. So how do you break karmic cycles? So that's a big one. So I'm not gonna. Okay. Anyway, let's just do what we can with this. How do you break karmic cycles? So does everybody know what karma is? In my opinion, karma is the baggage we carry into this life from the last one. You don't have to believe in karma to kind of hear me out on this. You don't have to believe in past lives necessarily, but you probably do have some level of understanding that we carry baggage into our lives, right? From our upbringing, our past relationships, right? And so all this kind of adds to our baggage that we carry in life. And I think this person has heard me talk about karma before. But so how we break karmic cycles is, one, recognizing our patterns, recognizing what is our karma, and then cleaning it up. And I think that, okay, how do I want to answer this as concisely as possible? Okay. So if we know we've got baggage, if we feel like, no, let's talk cycles. If we know we've got a cycle in our relationships where we kind of are drawn to the same type of person, then it ultimately boils down to our opinion of ourselves and what we think we need help with. So we partner with people that hopefully get us past some of our hangups. And that goes back to like our people pleasing days and stuff like that, of or our people pleasing ways, because we want to please the people that we love. We want to please the people that we want to stay in our lives. And that's part of our karmic cycle, is like, who do we choose to please, and what is the personality that we're choosing to please, and how does that affect our personality? How do we stay true to ourselves without having to become like people pleasy? I think that is the ultimate karmic cycle to break, is kind of this desire to please people. And because ultimately our identity, the wall that we build up around ourselves, our defense mechanisms, uh, who we think we are to make it in this world, where we derive our strength from, all those are what we believe about ourselves. So when we're honest with that part of ourselves, then we can start to recognize it and then come from a place of honesty in how we move forward, because it's not always going to be the same. um, you know, in a marriage it looks different, as a mother it looks different, as an entrepreneur it looks different, that those people pleasing ways and how they show up. um, if you've got more on that question, let me know. Who wrote this anonymously, um, what you want to know, because I think if I'm going to stay general on just breaking karmic cycles, I think it's understanding your patterns, understanding when you're not clear why you make the decisions you make. So when we're acting out of fear, why we're fearful, and then what actions we take from there. So when we act from fear, that is a karmic cycle continuing. When we stop acting from fear and from, from love and clarity and peace and abundance and, that kind of a mindset, then we break that cycle. And it will show up. The opportunity to break the cycle will show up in in many different ways, many different places in our lives, in different relationships, like I said. So as a mother, as a wife, a partner, as a business owner relating to your clients, a coach relating to your clients, that kind of thing, customers. It's like, how do you show up past how do you show up without the baggage? How do you show up without the baggage? How do you show up without the weight on your shoulders of fear, wanting to please everyone, wanting to earn respect, wanting to keep up with the Joneses, wanting to, so many things. Geez, so many things. Wanting to be seen as having it all together, wanting to be seen as a good mom, wanting to be seen as a good partner, wanting to be seen as a successful entrepreneur, right? It's like, that's all surface level, right? If we focus on the outward appearance of that, what people think of us versus how we feel in each of those roles. I feel like I want to stop there because I feel like I'm going on I'm rambling. So I want to stop there. I hope that kind of summed that up for you. And then, so this question I didn't know we were going to have time for, but we do. So I want to write a book. What is my path to get there? So I wrote a book, and this actually goes to the PFPF, the Priority Focus PAMI Flow, because in order to write my book, and I still had clients and I had a job, a full-time job when I was writing that book. And it took my lunch breaks to write the book. And then I would I would like work after hours too, sometimes really late at night into at a coffee shop or something like that. But when I knew what my niche was, who I was talking to, and I created Priority Focus PAMI Flow Time to just flow, my book came together in 6 months. So the Declutter Code, that my first book as the declutterist, that book really flew out of me. It was inspired. It was like, some days I was like, whoa, I didn't know. Well, I didn't even know I could write that. Versus starting a book that I didn't really know where I was going with it. It was a whole different course of thought, and I could not finish it. It took me forever to like, even, what am I writing? And I would just kind of like riff. And so this is actually to that point. If you want to write, if you want to be a writer and write a book, write. Because at first you're going to be writing for you. You're going to get through all the cobwebs, all the fear, all the insecurity. You're going to get through all that. And you're going to come face to face with who you are as a writer, as a thinker, as a thought leader, as a person, as whatever you identify with. Like, you're going to come face to face with those beliefs about yourself. And it's going to all make its way into this journaling that you do. Then you're going to start to write for others. Then you can start to write a blog or a podcast or a YouTube show. Like, you can start to write for these different platforms, the audiences on these different platforms, because now you've got something to say, right? Because there is kind of this leveling with, oh man, this is what I've come through. This is where I was, and this is what I recognized was in the way. And this is what I challenged myself, disciplined myself around in order to come through it. So I made my way through this type of thought. I made my way through this type of behavior. If I'm trying to lose weight, through this type of eating habit, these unhealthy eating habits, right? Like, I made my way through that, and here's what I have to say about my journey. So then you're kind of telling your story. Then it becomes like, well, I'm taking a few clients, and then I can tell you about their journey, their story, and their way through what they dealt with. Maybe it's a little bit different than my healthy eating habits. Maybe for them, it's getting out of debt, right? And so it's like, whatever your niche is, heard that? Whatever your niche is, when you know what you've moved through and therefore can help other people, then you've got. So actually, this book, I'm speaking to kind of a self-help approach, but if it's a novel you want to write. Both start with that. If you want to write. Hey, Craig, nice to see you. Oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you and all the work we did in the past on our funnels, in our marketing. Let's see. Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny. Let's see. Okay, so on Instagram, my friend Craig went to go live, wanted to join me live. And so let's bring him on. I don't know if it's going to work. I just accepted. I did accept. How come it's not working? Sorry, YouTube, you're not seeing what's happening over on Instagram. But I was trying to get Craig on with me. I don't know why I'm accepting. It's not working. Oh, Craig, I'm answering life's burning questions, and they've definitely run the gamut today, from everywhere from I want to write a book. What's my path to get there? How do I find my niche? Oh, you love that one. What are your rituals as a mom working from home? And then how can I stop caring what people think? So, okay, so it says that you're unable to join, Craig. I don't know. Maybe that was an accident to a request to join my live. But sending you so much love. I'm in LA, so I know you're in San Diego, so it'd be nice to see you again. And I'm sure our paths will cross again. That'll be great. But anyway, Craig and I go way back. When I started in this digital marketing online space, online business space, it's like he was right there. He was my mentor. He showed me the ropes, so much of the ropes. So thank you, Craig. Cheers. And and then a lot of what Craig taught me, I coupled with my mindset work, and I believe I offer like full well-rounded coaching because yes, I have degrees in marketing and consumer psychology, and then I have my mindset background, and so I kind of like weave the two so that you're getting kind of the best of both worlds in my coaching. And really, I've always done it that way. Because like I said in the beginning, you cannot separate mindset from execution. You can't separate mind from behavior. So you've got to believe in what you're doing in order to do it, right? You got to see it in order to have it. You got to think it in order for it to come true. So I think we made good time. We got through a lot of questions. And sorry if I totally fumbled on YouTube, the karmic question. Oh yeah, we answered that one too. The karmic, how do you break karmic cycles? If there is a deeper question on that or a more specific question on that, then I'd love to answer it specifically to your situation. But I will be here next Thursday, noon Pacific, for our next Clarity Live. Okay, yeah, you can hear me. Okay. But yeah, we have an hour of just chatting about life's burning questions, and really anything runs a gamut. Nothing's off limits. I can choose to not answer it if it's inappropriate. But ultimately, I'm just here to get you unstuck. Thank you, Craig. I love to serve. I really do. This is my happy place. But anyway, I'll see you next week, Thursday, noon Pacific, for more Q&A. Hi, Kathy. Oh my gosh, haircut. I'm seeing all my peeps come on as I'm exiting this live, but I'm here every Thursday, noon Pacific, answering your burning life questions, and nothing's off limits. And I prioritize live Q&A over the pre-submitted questions, but I'm definitely here for all of them, here for you guys. And all right, I think that's a wrap. Thanks for coming on. The replay will be up. Peace. All right. See you guys later.